Hello, I'm Brendan, this is Bullet Wanderer, and today we're going to have a look at a clip-on torch from Wurkkos called the HD03. Now, for some reason, they sent me on 2 of these for review, so why look a gift horse in the mouth? 2 is better than 1. Let's have a look at these and see what they're all about. So as you can see out of the box, we get this little blister tray with a little readme on the back, and inside we find the little HD03. This little packet. It's a light little thing, 49 grams, but it seems to be a full metal construction. Something very small but very powerful. Chuck it in your saddlebag, go off camping, that sort of thing is what you'd use it for. It also has a little clip here, so you can clip it to your collar, I guess. Well, probably not like that, you'd probably figure out a better way if you were working away on the bike. There we go. If you were working away on the bike, it'd be a handy thing so you can see what you're doing better. Or if you were out camping, it'd be handy to have in your tent as it has both a spotlight and a floodlight mode. So the floodlight mode can illuminate the whole area, or the spotlight mode you can hone in on something you're trying to figure out or fix. But let's have a look at what you get in the box. So you get the torch out of the box. You also get a little readme file here. Inside you do get a little user manual, which comes in several languages, most of which I'm not familiar with, but English is the one we'll go with today. But I remember when I was first reading this manual, it was a little complicated. It's a large manual, but it seems a bit overwhelming at first, going through all the different figures and things and how things work. But they actually have a little operational flowchart which I found much easier to understand. And with a bit of practice, you can just get used to how to get what you want out of it. Now most of the time, you'd probably just be using it as a torch, flashlight, area light, and that's fine. But there are fun RGB modes you can play with, and there's also an SOS mode and a beacon. So if we wanted an SOS mode, say we just follow the operational flowchart here. So it says, power it on. Triple press for strobe, double press to cycle between strobe, SOS and beacon. So that's SOS S, O, S, or double press again to go to beacon. So that'd just be, if you were in an emergency situation, well, it's a bit brighter than your phone torch. But if we wanted RGB mode for a bit of fun, instead we double press to turn it on, so that gives us a little pink hue there. Press and hold, cycle through the colors. Blue is my favorite color, so we'll leave it there. Double press for a strobe, double press for a red light, blue light beacon. Not sure you would want to be doing that, you might be impersonating the police, but maybe if you have an emergency, or if you're an emergency transponder, throw it in your bag, clip it on the back of your jacket, at least you're visible as that. Going on again, we get full color flowing light. So that's just going to go through it without holding down the button. Double press again, we get red, blue, green flowing light. Which is a fun kind of party trick at what might be otherwise a very boring party if you're just playing with lights. But moving on, we get a gradient meteor light next. Then a gradient breathing light, and then a gradient single light rotation. I'm not sure what the practical use of this would be, but in my mind, if it's legal, and I'd have to check if it is, what you could do is, like those low riding cars, you know, the ones really low to the ground, that have a sort of underglow going on, be a bit funky, but you could slap it on the bottom of your bike and have a nice little underglow. And if you have 2 like I do, one at the front, one at the back, it's a bit of fun, but it's not exactly practical. But anyways, that was all in floodlight mode. Let's see how it goes in spotlight mode. So that's your brightest spotlight, and looking at that for an extended period of time, it's going to be all you can see. So I wouldn't recommend that, but you're a grown adult, you know how lights work, you know not to look at the sun, so you don't need me to tell you that. So the final mode is locked mode, And what that does is it kind of just forces you to hold down the button to keep the light on. It might be practical in some circumstances. Not sure when you might be using that, but I'm sure you can find a way. If you press the button, it flashes to let you know it's in locked mode. So to get it out of that, you just triple press it again. And now she's back to normal. You can also switch between spotlight and floodlight while the torch is on. Now, in the user manual for this, it also gives you a rundown of the battery life in the various modes. According to the user manual, in the standard lighting modes, you get a decent amount of battery out of each of the light modes, which would be perfect for camping for over a weekend. In Spotlight, low will give you 7 hours and 40 minutes, medium will give you 2 hours and 10 minutes, high will give you 1 hour and 20 minutes. If you really want to push it, turbo is going to give you 1 hour and 10 minutes. In floodlight mode, low is going to give you 5 hours and 30 minutes of light, medium is going to give you 1 hour and 50, high is going to give you 1 hour and 20, and turbo again is going to give you 1 hour and 10 minutes. Now transparently, I can't say how it is for camping because I haven't gotten a chance to go out camping with the bike yet. I'd like to soon. It's getting into winter here in Ireland though, so it might be next summer before I get to practically use this, but judging by how bright it is on low mode, I think that'll be fine for most camping activities, and it'd only be if you're looking for your keys or something like that that you might use one of the brighter light modes, which don't last as long, but you wouldn't really need them for that long anyways. The RGB modes, they're fun. They're a bit of a gimmick, so it's not really much of a practical use for them, but it's nice to have them. Maybe you can find a use for impersonating a copper with the red and blue flashing amber lights, but for me, I'd probably stick to just the regular light modes. So that about covers all the functions of the light, and now it is a big manual, but really the operational flowchart is going to be your best friend for getting used to it and just fiddling through all the modes. There's only one button on it, so it's hard to go wrong. We also get included out of the box a little lanyard which can just clip onto the top of the clip here and onto whatever else you want, maybe your bag, maybe your bike, you decide. Actually, maybe if you were doing some nighttime photography, that multicolour RGB light could be handy for getting some interesting colours in on your photo in a practical way. We'll have to test that out when the weather gets a bit darker a bit sooner, and we can take Daisy out for a spin on some cold winter evening, and we'll see how that goes. One last practical thing about it for camping purposes is it is waterproof, especially in wet countries like Ireland. You're going to want that. Let's run it under the tap and see how it fares. And hopefully it's drop proof too, because I just threw it on my foot. So here we have the old kitchen sink test, so let's see how it goes. It's an IPX rating of 6. Really putting it through the ringer for you here. Well, as much as I can without actually going out camping. But she's fully submerged there. It seems to be getting on fine. Now maybe if you're at a deeper depth in the water you might have a different story. Testing the different buttons, it seems to be fine. And she's out of the water. And she doesn't mind. Good for you, Wurkkos HD03. And the final test of this torch is with the old star of the channel, Daisy Bell here. Will it magnetize? Let's just put it on a fun mode first. Yeah, that'll do. Now, so it's magnetic to metal, so you can test out which different parts of your bike are metal, which is a good practical thing to have if you were stupid. So that's obviously not metal. The tank, she should be metal. She is. The nacelle, is that metal? It's not the right type of metal. The chrome there is metal. The mudguard, what do you think? Metal. Her nameplate. Oh, that's metal. And it is sticking on just the corner edge of that. Now, would I trust that going at speed? I don't think so. Here though? Maybe. We'll have to see how that looks in the dark later. Yeah, wouldn't trust it on the forks here. Maybe there. But again, not sure I'd put it in such a catastrophic place where it might get lost into the wheel rim. Although, it might stick in there. Again, I'm not giving you naughty ideas of what to do with this. You figure that out for yourself. That's aluminum, or aluminium as it's properly pronounced, so it's not going to stick there. But it would stick there. We'll have a look when it's dark and see how it illuminates the bike. Now, without hopefully disturbing the neighbours too much, here's the back garden. Level 1. Quite bright. And here's spotlight. On all 4 modes. Great for camping. Now obviously I don't recommend you do this, but if you were so inclined, bit of a fun light show under the bike, maybe you could bring it to a show and put them under it like that. Or maybe mount them on the front of your mudguard like that and get a bit of a party going. But for more practical use, if you're doing late night work on the bike, this torch is pretty handy for seeing into all the dark spots. So, to conclude, would I recommend you the Wurkkos HD03 as a torchlight to slap in your saddlebag, take on trips with you, do DIY, that kind of thing? I'd say if you don't have a torch, you couldn't go wrong with one of these. Now at the moment on the website, the HD03 retails for €30.22, odd price, but I'd say worth it. It does what it needs to do, the battery lasts as long as it's supposed to, you have fun little modes to play around with, and it doesn't seem, at least to me, doesn't seem like it's going to let you down randomly. It's made of a nice solid metal construction, heated up a little through use, but the metal cools down real quick. I don't think it's going to fail you. The RGB party modes, they're fun to have, you don't need them, but at least they don't take away from its main functionality as a spotlight or floodlight to take camping with you. Plus, they're very light, they fit in a saddlebag or in a tank bag or something like that, so you can see they magnetize to the bike if you were daring enough to ride with the bike. Maybe one of these on each side of your front forks and be a bit of a spectacle. But if that seems a bit steep for your budget, I have great news. Channel First, we've gotten a special discount code which you can find right here, which you can use if you choose to buy one of these. So I think that's going to do us for today. Thank you for watching this video review. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's fun to do reviews of gadgets and gizmos now and then, and to be honest with you, most of the ones I've reviewed so far I've still used so far, and this one, well, these two will be joining me in the saddlebag. Maybe if Marty's nice to me I might give him the other one, but anyways, I hope you had a great summer biking. I didn't, because I was very busy with other stuff, and also Daisy has been plaguing me with some issues, ironically enough, with her lights, specifically the rear light. Figuring it out, but maybe for now I could slap this on the rear and use this as just a rear running light. Maybe not. Anyways, I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!